Good morning and welcome to our motor breakdown product pit stop. Thank you for taking time out of your diaries to join us today. Before we start, I just wanted to point out a couple of functions on the screen. You'll find a dashboard somewhere on your screen to the side, and within there you'll find a question function. So if you have any questions that arise during the session, please feel free to put them in there and we'll get to them at the end of the session and hopefully answer them all for you. There's also a top tips handout brochure which you're able to download and personalize if it's something that you wish to use as a marketing tool or just to share with your colleagues, just regarding some of the top tips that we have in respect of customers purchasing breakdown cover. Would ask you to close down other applications if possible, and we've got the cameras turned off just to try and give us a little bit of extra bandwidth as we go through the presentation. I'm Chris Johnson, the Regional Development Manager for the North. I'm joined today by Dave Burnett, our Product Manager, who is responsible for our breakdown product and retail van product. We've also got Kelly Carey, our Marketing Manager, on the call, and also Claire McShane, our Events Manager. Before we start, before I hand over to Dave, who'll talk through the breakdown trends that we're seeing and also the predictions for 2022. We just want to run a quick poll just to get a feel for how much breakdown cover is currently being sold by yourselves and your organisations. So on the screen you'll see a question regarding the percentage of your motor customers that are currently buying breakdown cover from you. So you could just take 30 seconds or so just to tick one of those boxes, and we'll come back in 30 seconds and see what the results are showing. Thanks. So a few people on none, quite a lot of people selling, up to 25%. A few people got real good penetration there at 75%. So I suppose it's quite a mixture today, really. But I suppose for some people it could be a new opportunity. For others, it's a more established product. For some, there may be additional opportunities there, and hopefully by the end of today, we can give you some pointers as to maybe why ERS could be a suitable partner to write your breakdown cover for you. Dave, can I hand over to you to talk us through the breakdown trends?
Brilliant. Thank you, Chris. Morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. So as Chris mentioned, I'm Dave, so product manager for the breakdown product. Kind of wanted just to start off with a quick look back on the market, what we've seen, and what we've seen as a result of the pandemic as well over the past couple of years. So just like the rest of the motor market, where we saw a reduction in claim frequency, we also saw a reduction in breakdown volumes. We saw a sharp decrease at the beginning of 2020. In the first half of 2020, we saw approximately 25% less breakdowns when compared to prior years. And although throughout the year it was lower, 2020 was a far more volatile year. And we tried to depict that with the graph on the right-hand side at the top there, where we can see that big drop in April, and then it's stabilising out and then a drop again. For Q2 2020 is when we saw the biggest drop. That's when the country went into its first lockdown. We then started to see a bit of an uplift as restrictions started to ease, and then we saw another drop later on in the year. That, because people weren't using their vehicles as much, had an impact on the type of faults we were seeing. So battery-related faults saw a substantial increase as vehicles was not being used as frequently. And again, that's shown in the graph at the bottom, where we've just tried to show the proportion of breakdowns that we've seen at home. So as you can see, the 2020 year, as we started to release from lockdown, we saw a big jump as people started using their vehicles again after a period of time. 2021, we saw a bit of a bounce back in vehicle use. It was a far more consistent year in terms of volumes. In the second half of the year, it looked like it started to come back to some sort of normality. Despite the global pandemic affecting everyone, including the recovery industry and the recovery operators, response times for ourselves have remained consistent, with the average for 2020 and 2021 remaining at between 45 and 48 minutes. I guess what are my predictions for 2022? So on the next slide, we've got a couple of bits here. So European travel has been pretty restrictive over the last couple of years, and I can see that being a bit of a challenge going into 2022 as well, as different countries will have different rules. So I'm sure we'll start to see or continue to see an increase in people staying in the UK for their holidays, and we expect that continue throughout the year, and we'll continue to see an increase in UK road travel. Motorhome season's just around the corner. With the increasing demand, and we've seen an increase in demand of motorhome purchases, we can only see that becoming larger, and again, more exposure on the road. The weather might not be nice right now, but summer is kind of around the corner, sort of. And we'll start to see some more specialist vehicles come onto the road. So with the return of car shows means an increase in classics, modified and prestige vehicles. And then with equine events throughout 2022, that'll start to bring out some more horse boxes as well. On top of that, we've got the rise of EV. So something else that we will start to see an increase throughout 2022. So although the numbers remain small when you compare to a normal petrol or diesel vehicle, the last couple of years we have started to see an increase in volume of EV policies and breakdowns. They're actually showing that they are doubling each year. So looking at the cause of breakdown, we can see that around 50% of these are caused by battery-related faults or running out of charge, which makes sense when that's your fuel source. But it also just highlights that although there is less things to go wrong with an EV, they still can go wrong. Things that we need to consider on the breakdown side is the weight of the vehicle. So vehicles are far more heavier, so require more specialist equipment to get them to get them going again. And also those vehicles, or most electric vehicles, can't be towed on the road, so they need to be lifted. So again, we need to make sure that we're sending out the right vehicle or the right equipment first time to handle an EV. Because of that, and because of the tech that's in those vehicles, roadside repairs are far less likely. So that also means that the cost of recovery is more expensive than towing another vehicle on the road. But because of the lower frequency, so there's a higher severity, but because of the lower frequency, at the moment we're able to charge our standard rates in the current market. And then there's something for us to both consider, or for us, our brokers and customers to consider as well, is when looking at some of the manufacturers who offer breakdown cover as part of the new car sale. Some manufacturers won't cover all aspects of breakdown, such as punctures sometimes. So it's definitely worth yourselves or your customers looking at what is actually covered as part of that breakdown cover. So then what are we doing to help with EV? So cover is available across a wide range of vehicles, including EV as standard. As I mentioned, our standard rates apply for EV as well at present. And then our provider and our network is geared up, ready for the rise as well. So we have dedicated staff ready to deal with calls for EV breakdowns. So they've got specific knowledge on how to deal with those vehicles. We have a nationwide network of VROs, which will ensure that we're sending out the required vehicle first time, and in some cases also including a charging van. So rather than recovering a vehicle if it's run out of charge, we can get them to the next charging point without recovery. And then also a high proportion of that network is also trained in handling EVs and the different parts that come into that. So with that, I'm going to quickly pass back to Chris, because we've just got one more question to ask everyone.
Thanks, Dave. And just linking this back to that first poll, the first poll showed that nearly 90%, I think it was 89% of our attendees today are currently selling breakdown cover in some sort of scale. So we want to ask you, other than price, what's important to you when you're selling breakdown cover to your customers? Within service levels, that would include the response of the responsiveness of the operator, the telephone calls going in there, the actual average call out time, the breadth of cover, the range of vehicles. Some providers may provide just car and van, but the range of vehicles that may be available to you, is that important? how you trade that business with the ease of trading. So whether it's a bordereau, whether it's an online portal, whether it's within the software house, different people have different functionality, or is it the brand, and is that important? So what are the most important to yourselves other than price when you're selling the product? And I think on this one you are able to actually select, just select one. There's still some votes coming through. Thanks for voting on there. So yeah, service levels is it has come out quite clearly on there. But equally, there's a nod towards the breadth of cover. Roughly a quarter of you have responded that way. The range of vehicles a little bit less so. The ease of trading is about 15% on there, 14% on there, and no one's voted for brand. But no, thanks for that. I'm going to hand over to Dave, who's going to talk us through our offering.
Brilliant. Thank you, Chris, and thank you for answering that. It's really interesting. I guess just linking back to service levels, as we mentioned in the first slide, our service levels have remained consistent throughout the pandemic and with prior years as well. So we're still responding to customers within 45 minutes, which is well within the SLAs that we set. So hopefully that's something that we can offer you guys. So in terms of vehicles, so the range of vehicles that we cover. So we're ERS, or a specialist motor insurer. So we offer a cover across a range of vehicles on our motor side. So we need a breakdown product that suits that as well. It wouldn't make sense if we only did car and van. So we cover a wide range of vehicles, from standard cars to classic and prestige vehicles, including supercars, light commercial vehicles, motorhomes, minibuses, taxis, and horse boxes. And then on top of all of this, we can also cater for fleets, and that is available within our E-Trade, our standard E-Trade product. For any fleet with a mixture of vehicles, doesn't matter which vehicles are on there. If you've got 11 or more, we'll provide a 30% discount to the rate as well. On the next slide, just talk through our different cover levels. So we have 4 on breakdown. So range of cover. So we just want to make sure that we're not only providing a product that your customers need, but also a price point that suits as well. So we've got different levels of cover. Basic level starting at roadside only. So that will provide your customer with an hour of roadside assistance or recovery to a local garage if required. Roadside and recovery just adds on top of that. So that will include recovery of the vehicle nationwide if the vehicle cannot be repaired by the end of the working day. Total UK again adds on top of that to include home start, which is kind of perfect in these times where vehicles are not being used as much. There's more flat batteries, as we saw on the first slide there. So it helps get your customers on their way. And then total UK and Europe, which is the highest level of cover, kind of does what it says on the tin, and includes cover within Europe as well. And it's also probably just worth noting that all of these covers do include cover for misfueling, for keys or lost keys, getting back into the vehicle, and then recovery from snow, ice, mud and flood. I also just wanted to touch on the horsebox aspect as well. So this slide here just shows the process that we take when it comes to a horsebox customer. And the reason I wanted to highlight it is because there is that other element of a non-human passenger or multiple non-human passengers on board. So once a breakdown is reported, someone from Equine Rescue Team will put in a call to the customer. Now that will either be to arrange alternative transport for the horse on board, but sometimes if the vehicle can be repaired, then that call will be to the customer just to try and reduce stress and give any sort of tips or anything, reduce stress to the animal. So if required, recovery will be arranged, and then any further transport for horses if required, if they're on board. And then if the vehicle cannot be repaired by the end of that day, we'll also pay for one night stabling as well. So that helps cover most things when it comes to horse box breakdown. And then this product is also available, it says at the bottom there, on our eTrade portal, which we've got another slide on as well, which I'll just touch on as well. So ERS, we've got a number of products that are available on our eTrade portal, and breakdown is one of them. It's by far the quickest and easiest way for you to trade our breakdown product. It's available 24/7, and it's available for quote, bind, making changes, and renewing policies as well. The product's also standalone. So the nice thing about that is the other product managers may tell me off, but there's no requirement to have an ERS motor policy in cover at the same time. So you can take up a policy to run alongside your existing motor policy, or when you're taking up an SCV policy, you can take out a breakdown policy alongside that. Or if you've got customers asking for breakdown at midterm and you've got a policy elsewhere, you can absolutely take up that breakdown cover separately, and that can just run separate to everything else. And then for larger and more bespoke opportunities, we can explore other solutions as well, and you can get in touch with us on those as well. That was everything I was going to cover today. I'm now going to hand back to Chris to see if there's been any questions that come in.
We've got quite a few, so thank you to everyone that's actually asked questions already that have come through. I'll take one just in respect of in the order they've come through. So one from Geraint, which is, do our recovery providers have charging facilities on board for EVs?
Yes, yeah, because we have we use independent VROs, or vehicle recovery operators, so it differs from company to company that we use, but we do have a network who have charging vans available as well. So yeah, we can kind of get the customer back on the road and get them to the next charging point if they run out of charge.
Thanks, Dave. One from Jim, is there any vehicle length restriction within the policy wording?
No, there's not. Short answer. We do see some vehicle length restrictions in other products, particularly around motorhome or other products that are available in the market. It's not something that we enforce here at ERS. The only restriction when it comes down to vehicle dimensions is just on trailers on the standard product, and that's limited, or caravans and trailers, that's limited to 7 meters.
Great, thanks, Dave. There's two questions from different people, but asking almost the same thing. So it's in relation to horse box or horse trailers. Do you cover? In respect to horse box or horse trailers cover, do you provide emergency cover for the horse? And then another similar question was regarding sheep and livestock.
Okay, I'll cover the sheep and livestock. That's not something that we do at the moment. It is limited to horse transport. Or just horse boxes at the moment, because we're looking at HGV as a separate piece for livestock. In terms of emergency cover, I'll probably have to take that one away. Whoever's submitted the question probably get some more, bit more information. We can talk it through, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah. Question regarding, and this is from Andy. Thanks for your comments. So Andy's been using and recommending ERS breakdown for over a year now, and really pleased with the service levels. Big thanks to the support team in Wales. Your check's in the post, Andy. But let's answer your other questions as well. Is there any chance of permitting a pro rata policy to link to a common renewal date?
So cancellation terms within the policy wording, there's no cancellation refund after 14 days. That's pretty standard within the breakdown market. However, if you've got a policy with us and you want to, it'll be dealt with on a case by case, but generally if we want to tie up the inception date and you're going to be taking out another policy with the ERS, then we can absolutely look at that for you, yeah.
Also from Andy, you were looking at breakdown for larger vehicles. Has there been any success with that? We were.
We are currently looking at HGV, or over the 7.5 ton commercial vehicles that we do currently. It's probably probably not going to be something that's going to be open market at the moment. We want to pilot it, and we're just working through it because it's something that's going to be brand new for us. But as soon as we've got something, we'll let everyone know.
Okay. Another question regarding the average call out time and customer satisfaction rate. Is that something we're able to share?
Yes, yeah. I mean, SLAs or call out time, absolutely. In terms of satisfaction rate, depending on how far we want to go down to, if we want it by scheme or by broker, again, more than happy to take that one offline and kind of talk that through. But SLAs or response times pretty simple. I can pull that out pretty quickly.
Okay. I think we'll answer this one in the session. Will the ERS provide breakdown cover on a standalone basis? Does an insurance policy have to attach? I think that was, in fairness, that was asked before you covered it off on the slide, I think. But you know, it's standalone. We can write that as a standalone product. It doesn't need to attach. Obviously, we'd like to write both if we can, but it is a standalone product.
Yeah, I don't want to put people off writing with us because I get told off by the other product managers.
And link to that one, Dave, is in respect of, is there a maximum number of vehicles that you can attach to a policy?
No, when it comes to E-Trade, all the vehicle details have to be entered, and that's just so that we can transmit those details over to our breakdown provider or to our supplier. So effectively, it's as many vehicles as you can input into E-Trade. I don't think there's an upper limit. If there is, I haven't had a referral for it. So yeah.
Yeah, and this is linked, and it's a good one. Philip has asked this one. Will you consider the option to add breakdown to the motor E-Trade quote journey in addition to separate add-on standalone? I.e., could you add it to another product? I think that is something that is in our thinking and would like to. I think we're exploring that at the moment. But Dave, can you elaborate upon that?
Yeah, it's something that we're looking at the moment. It's just something that requires development, and it's a similar answer to the HGV and larger vehicles. We absolutely want to be able to offer breakdown as an add-on. If we're selling motor insurance via E-Trade and we've got that drive to write more business electronically, it makes more sense even more sense to have that as an add-on for both the electronic and manual business, to be honest. So yeah, it's something that we are considering, something that we definitely want to get to soon.
Yeah. Tim's asked a question. What is the price of the various cover options, and what is the brokerage payable? I'll pick that one up, Tim. So because we tailor the product to suit the risk, there isn't a one size fits all. There isn't a one price fits all. We do have a range of prices, which can start from a single vehicle, newer vehicle, UK only, so roadside only, at in the 20s, right through to the European cover for the bigger vehicles, much more expensive than that. So it does. There is a range available. We can send you the price guide across so you can see that. It's on the net basis. So the second part of the question regarding the brokerage payable, you set that yourselves. So we would produce a net rate. You can then gross that up to a set figure. We ask you to do that across the account rather than across into policy by policy. So for example, we would set the commission on the account at 20, 25, 35, whatever the broker would like to earn from that. And then the rates grossed up accordingly. We program that into our E-Trade system so that then it's still at your fingertips. You don't have to then go and calculate it each time. It's there for your staff to just sell from the E-Trade portal. So I can send you that through afterwards, and we can have a discussion around what that should be for yourselves.
It's probably worth noting. I think you mentioned it there, but yeah, we set the commission at an agency level for the breakdown product. So the standard rate is 20% on breakdowns. When a new agency comes through, it will come through at 20, but we price it on the net basis. So yeah, we can change that. There is an upper limit of 49%, and we can discuss.
Another question from Andy. Why do we ask for the vehicle value, mileage and seats when they're not rating factors?
Number of So mileage, it's not a rating factor as such, but we use that to establish whether the vehicle's a classic. So if the vehicle's over, I need to remember the age now, it's either 25 or 30 years old, and has a lower mileage, then we'll rate that as a classic, and we have specific rates for that. Number of seats, that helps us with minibus, just to make sure that we're not, because we don't write bus and coach, we just need to make sure that we're not writing anything larger than a minibus. And then vehicle value, again, yeah, it's not a rating factor. I'm not sure if it's captured. I'll take that one away and see why.
Yeah. Question from Debbie: how do we access the e-trade portal? So I'll pick that one up, Dave. In respect of the e-trade portal, there's a number of ways. You can either speak to your regional development manager or strategic account manager. They could arrange that for you. You could visit our website, ers.com, and there's the broker registration link on there. Alternatively, send me an email, chris.johnson at ERS, chris.johnson, ers.com. Send it through to me, and I'll make sure it goes through to the right people to set that up for you. Once you are set up, we'll set up a super user within the organisation so that you can add and take people off and give permissions to certain staff members for the different products at your leisure. So once one person is set up as a super user, it's really straightforward. We've got training guides, we've got training videos, we've got material that can help people navigate around the sites. The breakdown is really straightforward. If you look at the breakdown questions on there, it's a really straightforward process. And as Dave mentioned in the early slide, it's 24/7, so it's at fingertips all the time. The question from Andrew: if you have to provide overnight accommodation for a horse, is there a limit on how much this can cost?
I'll have to double check the wording. It will be in our wording if there is a limit. I don't have anything to hand right now, but absolutely check it in the wording, or alternatively, I can reach out to you after.
And John, I'm not sure on the question, John, regarding call assist, and if a vehicle is valued at 70,000 and above, is it handled by our prestige team and network? If it's relating to a breakdown, I'm sort of paraphrasing this, John, but I'm assuming the question is, if it's a breakdown, would call assist handle it, or would our prestige team handle it? I think that's what you're asking. But Dave, I think yeah.
Yeah, I get it. So yeah, the supplier that we use, or the partner we have on breakdowns, call assist, and yes, and this actually answers the previous question around vehicle value, and that's actually why we asked for it. So vehicles over, I think it's £70,000 for us on breakdown, but anything over that will be handled by a dedicated team within Call Assist, within their call centre, and then they'll get a specialist VRO out as well, and they'll do things such as covering the vehicle, make sure that they've got the right equipment for something like a supercar. They've got a low angle of entry as well. So yeah, it can absolutely cater for that and make sure we're protecting those expensive cars.
And I think, looking at the questions, I think that's everything asked and answered. But we'll just give people another minute or so. If there's any other questions that people have that they want to ask, we'll give people another minute or so. And whilst people are doing that, if I can just remind people, there is the handout on the dashboard, which is the top tips. You are able to personalise that and overprint that with your own contact details and your own business logos. If there is any sizable opportunities where people are looking to partner with us and have got some volume of breakdown business, then please talk to us. Please talk to your regional development manager or strategic account manager, or again reach out to Dave or myself directly, and we can take the discussions further from there. But it looks like there's no additional questions coming through. I think we've answered everything. Oh, there's one just come through, Kimberly. We do cover a few fleets. We do cover a few fleets. Do you have such thing as a breakdown card to go in each vehicle? And I suppose before we answer that, Dave, if we could also say that, yeah, for risks that have got more than 10 vehicles, we will actually give a discount. So that would cater for the fleet. So, you know, over 10 vehicles are qualifying for quite a substantial discount in the region of 30% that we take off the rate. So if you have got some larger cases, then it's worthwhile pricing those up. But in respect of the question from Kimberly there, you know, do we have breakdown cards that can go into the vehicles?
So short answer, no. We can provide wordings in PDF view. We've also got the top tips, which you can co-brand as well. Which if you download co-brand, that will have contact details for our breakdown claim, which can be used as well. If there's anything else that you need from us, any more information, please just get in touch. I'm sure we can sort something out.
And a question, Kimberly, also the telephone number isn't noted on the schedule, it's only on the full policy wording. Would this be easier on the schedule?
So we have multiple schemes, which is why it's not on the policy documentation. We have multiple schemes with different telephone numbers. Again, we've got numbers on the top tips, and we've got the numbers in the wording as well. But point noted, we can take away and look at.
Yeah, and I think also, Dave, on the website as well, the contact details are on the website. So if a customer is really stuck but they have access to a phone and they go onto the ERS website, they would see, you know, the numbers where to direct them if they have a breakdown or if they have a claim. Then there's the contact numbers on there as well. It looks like that's it for questions. So thanks for everyone for dialing in today. As I said at the start, thanks for taking time out of your day to join us. We hope that's been useful. Please spread the word to your colleagues. If there are opportunities, reach out to us and let's discuss them. But thanks everyone for joining us today. Thanks for your time.
Thanks.